The James Harden trade is going to happen. We don't know when, but we know it is going to happen. And we know the two teams are most likely the Boston Celtics and the Toronto Raptors, seeming more and more like the Toronto Raptors might pull the trigger sooner rather than later. But before we start today's video, I'd like to hear down below in the comments, what do you think of this trade? What do you think of James Harden? Do you think the Raptors are going to do it? Or do you think the Boston Celtics are going to do the trade? So let's hop into the video and let's talk about where's James Harden going to go? And I want to first start this video out with a quote from Brian Windhorst. And he told us to the Sportsnet Good Show on Monday. I'm sure it would have to be Siakam. I'm not sure. Let me step back. But I would guess that the Rockets would want Malachi Flynn, and then you're looking at multiple first-round draft picks into the future, probably lightly protected or unprotected. Siakam is a guy that still has a lot of value because he can play multiple positions. He defends. He plays both ends of the court. When he's right, he's not really right now. And he's signed to a long-term contract. You wouldn't be trading for a guy you'd have to worry about. But still, I think Houston would want him and a bunch of other stuffs. That's where you get into difficulty. Basically, Jaylen Brown's balling out. So if they traded for Jaylen Brown, James Harden, they're not getting as much stuff because of how good Jaylen Brown's playing. If they traded for Siakam, it might benefit the Rockets because they'll not only get Siakam, they'll get a point guard in Malachi Flynn and multiple picks for the future. But then you could argue that the Toronto Raptors are depleting themselves of the depth that they would need to win a championship. And I counter that with, there are still a lot of free agents out there. And I can't list them off the top of my head. But if we looked into it while I'm talking, NBA free agents still available, there are a bunch of guys who would be willing to take a minimum contract or a very cheap contract to go and play for a team. That's simple as that. There's so many players that you wouldn't think. Darren Collison could come out of retirement and play. You know, obviously that's not likely, but there are people we're not thinking about who could still come out and play for somebody and be a factor for a team. And if you have anybody you're thinking about, let me hear. If the Raptors pulled this trade and lost Malachi Flynn, maybe Terrence Davis, and Siakam obviously would be a part of that deal. But, their depth. And I think they would obviously have to go and find guys in the market that they could get. I think they could really find a really good team. The Raptors seem to be a team who've done really well in finding their guys through free agency, and a lot of not known people. So that's just my thought right there. But if we go talk about the Celtics, they pulled the trade. It'd obviously be around Jaylen Brown. I don't think they'd have to give up Marcus Smart at this point. I think they might have to give up Romeo Langford and Carson Edwards and maybe one of the Williams, either Robert or Grant Williams. But I don't think they have to give up Grant. They're obviously going to have to throw the trade exception in there. And I think it's just really interesting to see. So the top remaining free agents on the market, I just pulled up something. Technically, there is Kyle Korver and Jordan McRae. Marco Bellinelli's not there. Is Napier signed to anybody? Shabazz Napier could actually be very good. Yeah, Shabazz Napier could be signed to somebody. He wasn't bad last year. And he could go to the Raptors if they had to give up some guys. I actually would really like Shabazz Napier on somebody. Jordan McRae, I have not seen in a while. Andre Roberson, great defender. I could so see Andre Roberson going to the Raptors. But if the Celtics did it, the Celtics wouldn't have to give up much. They would only be giving up young guys who aren't part of their rotation. I wouldn't do it if I was the Boston Celtics. But if I was the Toronto Raptors, I just want to blush over this. Imagine Kyle Lowry or Fred VanVleet, depending on who you're running at the point. Or you could have both of them on the floor and then put the small forward James Harden. But I wouldn't do that. I'd have them interchanging. Maybe Kyle Lowry, the 6-man, or Fred VanVleet, 6-man. And then have shooting guard James Harden. Then you have my man Norman Powell at the small forward position. And I don't think they even have to give up Norman Powell. I mean, they might try to. The Rockets will try to get him, but I think he's good enough not to need to be given up. But you know this team, Matt Thomas has been shooting amazing. I think Matt Thomas needs to get more time, if I'm going to be honest. Matt Thomas is a great player for this team. And he shoots lights out. I don't know why. I get, obviously, why he's not playing. He's not a good defender, and he really has no NBA experience besides like 20 games. But still, let the man fly. Because the only thing, worst comes to worst, he crashes the earth. But I think Raptors would have to give up, definitely, Pascal Siakam, Terrence Davis, Malachi Flynn, and some picks. I think that's definitely going to happen. And they could fill this roster out with Shabazz Napier, Andre Roberson to fill that. I know that's not 3-point. You could either get Gary Payne III or Courtney Lee. Courtney Lee is one of the best 3D players of this generation. He's like the poster child of, starting level, good backup, 3D player. And, there's Jamal Crawford, Michael Beasley, Tyler Johnson still out there who, let's not even get into that. But Michael Kidd-Gilchrist could be a guy who would fit and thrive for this team. We haven't seen Michael Kidd-Gilchrist be effective in a while, but, he didn't look bad last year. And there's Glenn Robinson III, Rondé Hollis Jefferson. A bunch of guys that they could actually fit in their rotation really easily and would work really well for them. And Rondé Hollis Jefferson would be great. Glenn Robinson III, another guy. There's so many free agencies that I look at, and I'm like, holy crap, why don't the Raptors get these guys? Okay, Glenn Robinson III is actually on the Kings. I'm stupid. I thought he was still in free agent. He must have been signed late. And is Zaire Smith still? Zaire Smith would be another young guy that you could so see the Raptors get. And if they do this trade. Yeah, Zaire Smith. Go for him. He literally got drafted, played 2 years, and then got cut. I mean, traded and then got cut. That's so funny. And did he get cut by the Grizzlies? Because he signed on the 15th to the Grizzlies, and nobody has updated that. Okay, so he's on the Grizzlies? No. Sign and waive him. So, okay, wait, they keep Zaire Smith's on the... Oh, they have his G League rights. So he's technically on the Grizzlies G League team, but he's not on their team. So he technically... That's so stupid. So they waived and then signed him. But yeah, the James Harden trades, I think it's going to the Raptors. Rockets, Raptors, that's what's going to happen. You can hear her here first from me.